If you're interested in attending Catholic worship, come consider the 10 o'clock a.m. Mass at St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. We're located just 4 blocks up from Soldiers Field Road at 43 Holton Street. You can check out our website at stanthonyalston.org. That's saintanthonyalston.org. And come to the 10 o'clock Mass and experience our chanted Liturgy of the Eucharist every Sunday. Let us offer our consecration to the Lord. Lord, we begin this day offering up our love to you as we recognize what miraculous realities that we are privy to now that you have risen from the dead. This is the week that we celebrate your resurrection, and we recognize that resurrection in a way that leads us more and more to understand that great, powerful mystery that'll lead us closer to you as we become eventually able to see you face to face, as St. James says, coming to understand the gift you gave us in your resurrection and our salvation. Well, today, of course, is Monday of the octave of Easter, so we are in the 8 days of Easter, but remember, the octave of Easter is celebrated as Easter is one whole day, so to speak. And so, first of all, when you go to Mass today, you will find that today we will be praying the Gloria every single day, which is normally not done during a daily Mass. But remember, this is like Easter Sunday each and every day. So we recognize that. And then our readings from now until Pentecost will come from Acts. Now, it's interesting, just as kind of a sidelight. Technically, any Mass you do during this time, the readings should all be from the New Testament. Obviously, the Gospel is always from the Gospel part of the New Testament. Now, what happens is try to explain that to someone who's planning a funeral and who doesn't understand liturgy and stuff. That's very hard to explain. But technically, that's the way it's supposed to be. And so all the readings from now on our daily Mass and our Sunday Mass, and if possible, the other Masses, the ritual Masses we do, all of them, the readings should come from the New Testament, and the first reading should come to us from the Acts of the Apostles. So we're going to look at the Acts of the Apostles for the next 50 days, keeping in mind that Lent is 40 days, roughly, and Easter is 50 days, roughly, because we are Easter Christians more than we are Lenten Christians. So that's part of our whole symbolism of the liturgical year. So we begin in the Acts of the Apostles, and if you have your daily missal, feel free to pick it up, or if you do bible.usccb.org or the Magnificat or the Bible Among Us or any of those daily missals, including the bound ones that you can buy. Do check out our first reading today, which comes from the 2nd chapter of Acts. Now, keep in mind something here. You will realize that what's happening here is the apostles are in the upper room, and they are speaking to the Jews who have just discovered that these apostles are speaking different languages, and they can all understand this. Now, that part is left out. We're going to see that in Pentecost. But what you're looking at is Peter is preaching to all these Jews from all over the world who speak all different languages, and the apostles are speaking to them in a way that they can understand. This is Pentecost is the celebration that you see there, but of course, we're recognizing this within the context of Easter. And then we understand he's explaining who Jesus is. But there's something else to notice. Sometimes the most powerful line may be just a couple words or just some way of phrasing something. And in this, you have all the apostles there, and Mary is there as well. If you've seen paintings of the Pentecost, you'll see that Mary is there. They're all there. They were speaking other languages. Now, all of a sudden, they were speaking other languages. Everyone can hear them, and now Peter is getting up to preach. And what does he bring out? he says, verse 32, that all of them are witnesses to who Jesus is, including his resurrection. Very powerful thing. So they're not just preaching, which is important in itself. They're not just saying, this is who Jesus is. They're saying that we are his witnesses. Remember this powerful reading that it's one of my favorites, and I use it a lot, from 1 Corinthians 15, where St. Paul says that if Jesus didn't resurrect from the dead, we're wasting our time. But he did say that Jesus appeared to 500 of the brothers, is the expression he uses. So he appeared to 500 people, not all of whom, of the 500 people, all of the apostles, obviously without Judas, all of the apostles, and that's who is speaking. Peter is speaking on behalf, because they're all surrounding him. And he is speaking, saying, we are all witnesses. Now, I want you to go back to that time and imagine you were in that room. How would you feel? Feel isn't the right word. What would be your experience? That's a better way of phrasing it. That you're in that room. Maybe you are with all the other Jews. You may be, we'll say for this example, you could be Jewish, or you could be maybe one of the servants, or whatever the case may be. And servants being waiters. And there you are. And all of a sudden, you hear this message for the first time. You've seen the miraculous action of the all speaking in different languages. And then Peter says who Jesus is. He gives, which you can go back and read in Acts 2. He talks about who Jesus is and says that we are all his witnesses. What are you going to experience? How is that going to how would you call it? How is that going to touch you? What are you going to, how are you going to receive that? And you go back and here, Peter is starting to explain we now have this freedom in Christ because he died on the cross, but he resurrected, and in resurrecting, he conquered death, and everything is changed now. How are you going to experience that? And think of who you would be in that scenario. You, like I said, you may be one of the visiting Jews in this scenario you're putting together, one of the visiting Jews from somewhere else in the world. You might even imagine yourself not speaking the language until you hear the apostles speaking. Or you may imagine just someone who this is all going on as you're bringing food over to the respective customers at the upper room, however you want to experience that. I don't know if that's exactly how it happened, but you bring it over, and so you might not be Jewish. You might be at this point either a pagan of one form or another, or you may be someone who just is kind of up in the air and all this stuff, and then you on everything spiritual, and then you see this. And you recognize this powerful action. How are you going to receive it? And think it through. Now you've heard this, you saw what was going on, and you don't have to say, I believe this or not, but you have literally seen, just in the scenario, what is going on. Now you go and you speak to other people. I was there in the upper room, and let me tell you what happened. And how are you going to relate that? Imagine all that, and imagine that scenario, because this is a powerful change in humanity, and it literally is. Humanity changed because of Jesus' resurrection, and it's quite powerful. So we see this powerful action. Jesus' resurrection happens. We see Jesus is now ascended into heaven, because this scene takes place after the ascension on Pentecost Sunday. But it's speaking to us about Easter because we're recognizing Jesus resurrected from the dead. So we're seeing this powerful action happen. You've seen it. You can't deny that it happened. You can't deny their witness. You can't deny everything you saw. How do you receive it, and how do you relate it to others? And how is that going to affect your life from this day forward? So all of that. So when you go back to work tomorrow, or if you go back to the temple tomorrow, if you're one of the Jews or if you're one of the workers, depending on what scenario you're in, how is that going to be? Did you it's like, say, for example, you're one of the workers. Did you see what happened? Were you there? What do you think of that? And kind of put that whole scenario. If you were one of the Jews there and you go to the temple, remember the temple, they rejected anyone following Jesus before his resurrection. And the Pharisees clearly are telling people not to believe in the resurrection. But now you've listened to the apostles speaking. How are you going to react to that? And are you going to speak to a Pharisee knowing that he's going to say, no, that didn't happen? What are you going to do? So this is an interesting week to kind of put that whole scenario together, to think that scenario through, and to put it together so you have that deeper understanding. And you may want to go back and read that passage. Like I said, you can find it in your first reading if you have a daily missal. If you need to know the citation, it's Acts 2:14, and then it's 22 through 33. Now, you can read the rest of Acts 2 if you'd like, but there it is. That whole scenario. So that's always a good thing. This is something that, by the way, St. Ignatius of Loyola used to teach about as part of your prayer, to put yourself in different scenarios and how would you experience that and what would you do. So that's what I'm asking you to do. And maybe you might want to do both scenarios. In other words, you are a waiter and then you imagine what you would do, and then you are one of the Jews there who hearing this for the first time. And remember, the Jews would be familiar with the scriptures. So how are you going to put all that together? Yeah, it's good reflection for the day. In the meantime, have yourself a blessed day, and we will be back, as we always are, tomorrow. We'll see you then. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. Remember, when you're looking for a place to attend Mass, and if you don't already attend Mass at your local parish, come to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. We're located at 43 Holton Street in Allston, just a few blocks up from Soldiers Field Road. And you can check us out, come to our 10 o'clock a.m. Mass, and come to experience our Catholic worship at St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts.